Welcome to TARTLEcast with your hosts Alexander McCaig and Jason Rigby, where humanity steps into the future and source data defines the path.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TARTLEcast. It's been a little bit. We had our kind of remote session going on with the COVID thing, but Jason and I are back at our...
Yeah, we did do... I think we did one Zoom.
We did one.
But you were gallivanting all over the world.
Yeah.
So...
I'm done gallivanting now.
Yeah, I think literally you went to... During this COVID time, where you went...
I just feel like I was just like camping, because you know what was nice about the camping?
That was beautiful. Those pictures where you like in... I think
incredible?
your girlfriend posted it where you were down in like a canyon
yeah,
or
so
something.
it's San Lorenzo Canyon, which is about an hour south of here, south of Albuquerque. And in the canyon, it's 10 million years old, and the geology's been cut out by this old riverbed that's now become dry.
Oh.
And it's just beautiful being in there, just the way the geology's cut, the way it rounds out and everything. And it's primitive camping because the state kind of shut everything down, so you're just kind of out there on your own. But, you know, just being under the stars, really appreciating nature like that, you know, it gives you the chance to kind of reset.
So what did you... Because we're going to segue what I'm talking about, but what did you feel like being a human in this time in that canyon? And then what are we going to talk about?
No, that's great. So like being in the canyon, it makes you feel like not insignificant, but when you talk about the time and the briefness of your life,
right,
you need to really reflect then on how much impact you want to derive out of this short amount of time that you have, this opportunity of experience. And so when you're there, you're constantly reminded of the age of everything else in comparison to yourself. Not that it isn't a part of you, but you're saying, that's nature here. I'm also a function of nature, but the time there's wisdom in its age.
Right.
So it's like, how much wisdom can I put out through my own experience to help others, with, this, albeit a very small fraction of how old, that canyon was itself. And that's just what you feel. And you're just kind of in that mode. And that's what I like about doing the camping. That's what I really like about this area.
Oh yeah.
It's
ancient.
It's it's primitive. It's
and
raw.
You can see it,
right?
Yeah.
You can see it and you can feel it.
Right. There's no Sweden manufactured forests.
No,
there is all on the line.
Yeah, that's right.
No pun intended to our Sweden peeps. That's beautiful. It'd be nice because you could run.
Yeah. No, exactly. But that feeling, that emotion,
right?
Those are the things that information, that's the real driver that gets people to do things. Mm. And so this leads into our segue about this.
Yeah, I set you up, bro.
This type of data that we're talking about, and it's a new type of asset. It's this intangible asset class. And my contention, our contention, Tartle's contention, is that there's more value in understanding those emotional, behavioral aspects and pairing that with quantitative information, because that allows us to foster proper growth and get the most out of this brief experience that we have, so we can do the most amount of good with it.
What do you, when you look at data and you look at expression of humanity, what are you looking at? Because data expresses our desires, our wants, even, our fears, what do you look at it when you see expression?
No, and that's precisely what it is. I look at it as an expression. I don't look at it in any specific light other than that, because I don't want to put a bias towards it.
Right.
It's just taking what humanity is doing, looking at that information, that data, and saying, oh, this is the picture they're painting of themselves. And it's like when you go into the museum, right? Like an art museum, and you look at the paintings hanging on the wall, it's not that I have any way where I should have told that painter how it should have been painted, right? Or how they defined that image or what they felt. But it's just that this is the image they want to portray. And then it gives me the opportunity to absorb it and say, okay, this is how I'm interpreting what I've been told. And this intangible asset that we have, this thing that's truly valuable, these key drivers that actually move humanity forward, these are the things that are saying, okay, we're all going to paint our picture with the most truthful information possible. And once we have that perspective, the mindset of the other individual, and we can actually understand it, it gets rid of the division and the issues with the risk and unknowingness. It allows you to focus on what truly matters. And so when we go to make decisions, either in a business sense or a personal sense, whatever those things might be, you have all the appropriate information, all the facts, the truths in place, so you can make the appropriate changes to enhance that experience for the most amount of good. Knowing that I can make a decision with this asset that I've acquired, this digital asset that tells me so much about all of these different people, and I'm going to know exactly how to speak to those people, speak to their emotions, speak to their truth, speak to what they really need and want. So then the payback is not only a quantitative payback, but a qualitative one, so that you're actually elevating yourself and getting on the platform of these other people. You're not, sitting above them. You're getting to a point of truly understanding them so you can stand side by side. So now, through TARTLE, with data, with this source data, this intangible asset, its value is something that it's infinitesimal. It can't be touched by, going out and trading Forex.
Right.
Right. Like getting that like a currency asset, or me investing in, certain mortgage-backed securities. We know how unstable that was, right? There's a lot of inherent risk in it that we don't understand. All these weird engineered financial products. And what we're saying is, don't invest in things that you really don't understand because you didn't create them and they only have a materialistic aspect. Let's invest in humanity.
Right.
Not invest in some secondary or tertiary thing that they've created, but invest in truly who those people are. Invest in understanding one another, because that is the asset that will change everything and elevate what we are doing here on this planet.
And I think when you look at, you talked about creation, but we as humanity forget that we create the data.
Correct.
So whenever you're looking at data in and of itself, and it's tangible in the sense of it's showing us who we are. So you can kind of see it in that format. But I think a lot of people don't realize the importance of what these companies are doing with your data.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're taking your data from you, using it to remarket stuff back to you. And then, so they're taking the intangible, making it tangible, and then resurfacing it back to you to get to the point to where you feel like you have an obligation, even though you've gave something away, and you're playing playing on a person's emotions.
There's no choice in the matter at that point. So what we're saying is, why don't we change that approach? Why not actually understand the person and what they really truly need, emotionally, materially, physically, whatever it might be, and offer them the appropriate choice, not give them a limited amount of items that they are forced to choose from.
Right.
Because you're taking data and assuming this is the picture and then telling them that's the picture of themselves. What we're saying at TARTLE is this intangible asset, this source data. That's the thing that's really valuable outside all this other stuff that's being created, because that's the true picture, and it offers that choice, and people know exactly where that information is going and what information is leaving. Because when you're doing things online, you don't know what specific piece is being analyzed.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But when you look at this, when you look at the data packets, you know what is leaving your hands, what is leaving your sovereign ownership and being transferred. And you're going to get compensated for it.
I think it's more than the compensation. It's being where it's decentralized and in control back to where the source comes from.
That's correct. And it's an interesting concept, because the way we look at it, we're the generators. People are. We're the generators of everything that happens. But we have this weird conceptual framework that the companies are the generators. These larger firms, the people that aggregate and farm all these, frankly, farm us, right? For whatever material resources or data resources, whatever they might be. But the supporting thing that actually feeds that system from the core are human beings. So it's like, don't look at them as the one with the power.
Right.
We're going to disseminate that back and decentralize and democratize it amongst all of you, because that's how it should be. It's equanimous at that point, right? And when you have that balance and you can share that and you can fundamentally respect people at a core level, respect their emotions, look at them, look at their painting and appreciate it for what it is, that creation of that painting, now you're acting like a human being. Now
not a feed cow.
We're not dairy cows anymore.
No, they're giving us back this corn.
Yeah.
That's not good for us.
No, it's not nutritious. Nothing about it is good. So don't look at me as a dairy cow. Look at me as a human being with this colorful plate of vegetables or whatever the hell it might be.
It's not, but the source that they're giving back to us, this data that they give back to us, is what their computers are saying that we want.
Yeah,
based off of
but it's a half-baked analysis.
Yes,
it's not really what we want.
It's what we would call an educated guess.
It's the best educated guess of an algorithm, right?
Yeah.
And so, you're giving us back what you think we want, but is it something we truly need? No. Then let's look at what we really need. And that's why we are so, we're pushing forward so much on the fact that this new type of asset, because that's what it is. It has to encompass the quantitative, but also the qualitative aspect. And that's what gives this asset its true body, and it has a time value to it. It can be traded, packaged, and you can create a whole bunch of it. And there's a lot of value in it, intrinsic and extrinsic value.
Yeah. And I think when you look at the value of data when it comes to the consumer, let's use that for an example, it's a one-way street. And I want people to understand that. They're farming. I love that word. That's a great word. They're farming you and taking that information from you and then turning around, putting it in the silos and regurgitating it back to you in a bad format.
We're just numbers.
Right.
We're not cannon fodder. We're not cattle. No offense to cows. I love cows. We're living, breathing, emotional, spiritual in any form of religion or whatever it might be. We're very dynamic people. And you can't farm things that are dynamic. You can't farm paintings in a museum.
Right.
Otherwise it's worthless information at that point.
We're each our own masterpiece.
Yeah. Everybody's
that
our
creates
masterpiece.
the collective museum.
And that's why we need to come back to that collective ideology. And that will only happen through the respect of this intangible asset that is on the rise, the source data, and that only comes, from TARTLE, because the humans that are a part of it are the ones that support that system. We are all but a tool, the Sherpa, that is on the journey with these people.
Right.
We are elevating all of our users on their own journey, on their own path, so they can be their own best champions, their own best reflection, everything about them. We're only here to help them along the way. We are not the leader. We're not the leader here.
And we don't tell you your identity.
No, we don't. You decide it for yourself.
Yes.
We're just guiding you with this tool, and you choose how you want to use it.
I love that. So to close, when you look at intangible, what does that word mean to you?
Intangible is something that it can't be felt, right? I can't hold it. But intangible things I can feel. And I know that there's a lot of emotional drive. There's a lot of things in my own life personally that I've made on emotional decisions, and it overrides logic a lot of the time.
Right.
And those intangible things can't be overlooked. But a large part of our society, even finance and economics, which they think is the best barometer for how developed a society is, I don't think that's a proper barometer. But those are only, like I said, it's a half-baked picture because that's just the quantitative aspect. It misses the intangible aspect, the thing that really drives us to buy those stocks,
right?
To feel a certain way,
right? It's
going back to the source of that information, where it's actually coming from, what is supporting it, what feeds that cycle, that flow, and that's our focus.
I love that. That's awesome.
No, I really appreciate that. And listen, that's at the end of the day, it takes less than 30 seconds to sign up on TARTLE.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
I love that. 30 seconds, then go to tartle.co.
Yep.
Then from there, you can do it from your phone.
Yes.
Mobile, desktop, iPad, doesn't matter.
Yeah. And our next week's episode, we'll talk about the economics of the situation. Everybody understands money. So we'll talk about how more of us joining the system actually elevates the economics and makes us all more valuable.
I love that. Yeah, that's cool.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you for listening to TartleCast with your hosts Alexander McCaig and Jason Rigby, where humanity steps into the future and source data defines the path. What's your data worth?